In Japan, people with ordinary salaries manage to build wealth, avoid debt, and accumulate assets over the years without spending their lives chasing raises, promotions, or extra income. So what is the secret? What do they know that most people will never discover? The answer lies in an ancient, simple, and powerful philosophy that changed the way entire generations think about money. And once you understand this philosophy, you may never see wealth the same way again. But before we get into these philosophies, I need to tell you something important. This video is not about Japan. It's about you. Because what you're about to discover here is not a cultural curiosity, not a documentary about Eastern habits, not another list of financial tips you'll forget by tomorrow. It's a mirror, and mirrors can be uncomfortable because they show the truth with a clarity that most of us prefer to avoid. The truth is that most people don't have financial problems because they earn too little. They have financial problems because nobody ever taught them how to make money obey. And Japan, with salaries that many Americans would consider modest, discovered over a century ago a way to do exactly that. Not through willpower, not through sacrifice, not through deprivation, through philosophy. 6 simple, profound, and completely forgotten principles that transform the way a person sees, uses, and preserves every dollar that passes through their hands. You are going to learn all 6 today, and the last one, the most powerful of all, will permanently change the way you define wealth. Let's begin. In 1904, a Japanese journalist named Hani Motoko created something that seemed ridiculously simple to solve a problem as complex as money. A notebook. Not an app, not a spreadsheet, not a special bank account. A physical notebook where you write, with your own hand, everything that comes in and everything that goes out. She called it Kakeibo. And the concept is so powerful that it is still taught in Japanese homes more than 100 years later. Why? Because there is an enormous difference between knowing that you spent money and feeling that you spent money. When you pay with a card, with Venmo, with Apple Pay, the money disappears without leaving an emotional trace, without weight, without pain, without that sense of loss that naturally makes a person stop and think twice. But when you pick up a pen and write, dinner out, $47, something changes. Your brain processes that expense differently, more consciously, more present, more honestly. And that honesty is what Kakeibo offers. Not a rigid budget, not a list of painful cuts, but a daily practice of looking at money with clarity and deciding with intention where it goes. Because you cannot control what you cannot see. And the moment money becomes visible is the moment it stops disappearing. There is a word in Japanese that has no perfect translation in English, Mottainai. It is an expression of sorrow, of regret, for the unnecessary loss of something that still had value. When a Japanese person sees food being thrown away, they say Mottainai. When they see a good piece of clothing discarded because of a passing trend, they say Mottainai. When they see money being wasted on something that will bring no real value to someone's life, they say Mottainai. And here is what makes this concept so powerful when applied to finances. Most people treat waste as a problem of quantity, how much money was left over, how much was spent, how much was lost. But Mottainai treats waste as a problem of respect. Every dollar you earn represents time from your life, energy, effort, hours you will never get back. When you spend that dollar on something without value, you are not just losing money. You are losing the time you traded for it. And when you start seeing money this way, as lifetime converted into numbers, your relationship with it changes completely. You start asking not just whether you can afford something, but whether it is truly worth the time it cost you. The subscription you no longer use, the delivery that became a habit, the impulse purchase sitting in a drawer, none of that is just wasted money. It is lifetime that left, without leaving anything of value behind. Mottainai is the reminder that every dollar deserves respect, because every dollar costs something far more precious than money. Here is a question most people never ask. Why do I want to buy this? Not whether you can afford it. Not whether it's on sale. Not whether everyone around you already has one. Why you want it. Monozukuri is a Japanese concept born from manufacturing, from the art of creating objects with care, attention, and respect for the material. But when applied to financial life, it reveals something much deeper. When you genuinely take care of what you own, you lose the desire for what you don't have. Think about that for a moment. The sneakers you have been wearing for 2 years but never properly cleaned look old and ready to be replaced. Those same sneakers, cared for, cleaned, maintained, look new enough to last another 2 years. The difference isn't in the sneakers, it's in the relationship you have with them. The consumer economy was built on dissatisfaction. It needs you to feel that what you have isn't enough, that the old model is inferior, that the new version will make you feel better. And it works because most people never learn to find satisfaction in what they already own. Monozukuri teaches exactly that. Before buying something new, honor what you already have. Clean it, fix it, care for it. Use it until the very end. Not out of deprivation, but out of respect. For the same reason a Japanese person polishes their shoes before discarding them, because a well-cared-for object doesn't need to be replaced. And an object that doesn't need to be replaced is money that stays in your account. And money that stays in your account is freedom, growing in silence. At the end of every month, most people do one of two things. They close their eyes to the numbers, or they open the bank statement with that familiar feeling of guilt and quickly close it again. Neither one changes anything. Hansei is different. Hansei is a Japanese practice of deep and honest reflection, used in companies, in schools, in homes, where a person stops, looks at what happened, and sincerely asks what could have been done better, not to punish themselves, not to feel guilty, but to learn. When applied to finances, Hansei transforms the bank statement from a source of shame into a source of information. Think about it this way. If you spent $300 on delivery this month, Hansei doesn't ask you to feel bad about it. It asks you to understand why. Were you too busy to cook? Were you stressed? Were you avoiding something? Because the expense is never the real problem, it's the symptom. And when you identify the symptom, you can treat the cause. Maybe you need a simpler meal plan. Maybe you need one less busy day during the week. Maybe you need to recognize that delivery has become a way of dealing with stress. Whatever the answer is, it's in your data. And Hansei is the practice of sitting with that data without judgment, with genuine curiosity, with the intention of arriving at next month a little more aware than you were this month. Because wealth isn't built with perfection, it's built with honesty repeated over time. There is a dangerous myth about wealth that most people believe without questioning. The myth of the big break. The idea that at some point an opportunity will appear, an investment, a promotion, a business, that will change everything at once. And while that big break doesn't come, the financial life stays exactly where it is. Kaizen destroys that myth completely. Kaizen is a Japanese philosophy that means continuous improvement, and its central principle is so simple that it seems impossible. It works as well as it does. Small improvements, made consistently over time, produce results that no single big change can replicate. In financial practice, this means the following. You don't need to cut every unnecessary expense today, you just need to cut one. You don't need to invest a fortune this month, you just need to invest a little more than you did last month. You don't need to have the perfect budget in the first week, you just need February to be a little better than January. It sounds like very little, and that is exactly the point, because the human brain resists large and drastic changes, but accepts small and gradual ones without even noticing. And when those small changes accumulate over months and years, the result is a financial transformation that seems impossible to those watching from the outside. Wealth rarely comes from a single brilliant decision. It comes from 1,000 small decisions, made consistently, day after day, without drama and without rushing. That is the promise of Kaizen. Not the big break, the small step you can take today and tomorrow and the day after, until one day you look back and no longer recognize the place where you started. We have arrived at the last principle, and this is the one that changes everything. Not because it's the most complicated, quite the opposite, it's the simplest of all. But it's also the one that most contradicts everything Western culture teaches about money. In Japan, there is a deep understanding about wealth that very few people in the Western world have ever stopped to consider. Wealth is not how much you earn. Wealth is the difference between how much you earn and how much you spend. Simple as that. Think about two neighbors. The first earns $200,000 a year, lives in a huge house, drives 2 imported cars, travels every season, and at the end of the month, the account balance is zero. The second earns $50,000 a year, lives in a modest house, drives a reliable used car, and saves $15,000 every year without exception. Who is wealthier? The obvious answer is the first, because he earns more. The correct answer is the second, because he owns something the first one doesn't. A gap. A space between what comes in and what goes out, and it is in that space that real wealth exists, grows, and multiplies. The first has income. The second has net worth. And net worth is what buys freedom, what eliminates the fear of the end of the month, what allows you to make decisions based on what you want and not what you need. The Japanese call this space the gap, and the entire Japanese financial philosophy is built around a single obsession, widening that gap. Not necessarily by earning more, but by spending less than you earn, consistently, with intention, with respect for the money you already have. Because at the end of it all, the question is not how much you earn. The question is, how much stays with you? And the answer to that question is, what defines, more than anything else, the size of your freedom? 6 principles: Kakeibo, Mottainai, Monozukuri, Hansei, Kaizen, and wealth is the gap. 6 Japanese words that together build something no salary increase, no promotion, and no complicated investment can replace. A different relationship with money. And perhaps the most powerful part of all of this is realizing that none of these principles require you to earn more. All of them only require you to start seeing differently. The money you need to build wealth may already be passing through your hands, invisible, silent, disappearing into habits that were never questioned. The question is whether you are going to keep letting it go or start making it stay. Now tell me in the comments which of these 6 philosophies resonated most with you. And if you want to take the next step and put all of this into practice, we created the Couple Financial Planner plus Vision Board, especially for those who want to stop winging it and start building with intention. The link is in the first pinned comment of this video. Go check it out. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Every week, there's new content on money, family, mindset, and purpose. See you next time.